Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stands. This is your latest Manchester United news. Apologies I'm a little bit late. I'm 5 minutes late because I spilled a full glass of water all over my desk and water and electrics don't mix. Although, I think some of these United players could do with some water on them at the moment. A cold shower might wake them up a little bit. But lots to talk about, Donny van de Beek transfer danger. Also a couple of topical things coming up for you as well. Juan Mata looks like he's going to stay till the summer. United have got 2 days off from training. They get more days off than they're fucking retired. Why are we giving them another 2 days off? They've had a bloody week off for COVID. They had another week off when Ollie came in. Giving them another 2 days off. I mean, we keep talking about how long it's going to take for these players to get used to Rangnick, and we're giving them 2 bloody days off. What's going on? Anyway, we'll also be talking about Donny van de Beek, of course. Newcastle interested, according to the Telegraph. United willing to let him go if somebody pays the price. Madness, I think. Rashford, frustration about lack of minutes. Also, what I would do, and more importantly, what would you do to fix the problems at Manchester United. I do think that tonight I do want to get into that quite in depth because it's not just about what I think, it's more about what you think. There's more of you than me, and ultimately I think we're at the point with Manchester United now, especially after last night, where, you know, big statements can be made with confidence. You know, I'll give you one right now. I would sell Scott McTominay. I would not pick Harry Maguire for a very long time. I wouldn't pick Rashford for a very long time. I'd seriously consider giving Dalot the run out at right back. That's just 4 things off the top of my head. I don't like saying them, but to be honest with you, I don't like what Manchester United are at the moment, and they are things that I would do to change this team. And I do like Wan-Bissaka, and I think I just think he needs a time as the backup right back. I do like Scott McTominay. I think he's a bench player. And I think Harry Maguire is a bench centre-back as well. Ridiculously, we paid £80 million for him. So I think that, you know, we will get into that, and we'll discuss what you think as well. I'd like to see what you've got to think, because I think big decisions... You know what? I think in essence, Manchester United, we've tried the gently approach. We've tried to just keep stable. You know, I feel that Manchester United are basically a ship in the bath, and you know, they want that ship to stay steady because it's about making money, isn't it? But the reality is that ship is taking on water and it's gradually sinking anyway. What we need to do is mix things up a bit. And, you know, we're going one way and that's down, to be honest with you. But look, we'll talk about that in a minute. I do want to talk about a few other bits as well, and anything you want to talk about tonight. But I do want to just start off with Donny van de Beek. Donny can go, it says on the thumbnail. Donny transfer danger. And is Rangnick the man? I want to talk about that a bit as well. We can talk about Ronaldo. Somebody said, can we talk about Ronaldo being the problem? We can do if you want to. But Trippier's going to the Skunks, says Luke. Yeah, he's going to Newcastle, isn't he? I mean, we will be talking. Actually, we'll talk about it now. So the Telegraph this morning, I completely missed this and didn't even mention it to Fabrizio or on any show I've done. Salad Works, thank you very much for the super chat there. So effectively, the Telegraph is saying the Telegraph. It's not Irish. It's actually an English newspaper. The Telegraph. It's called the Telegraph. I'd say I'm in a buzzing mood tonight. You know, with these hands I can feed my family. With these hands I fixed a Hoover. I like hoovering, right? And I was hoovering up today and it wasn't picking things up. I was like, oh my God. Did the normal thing, you know, check the filter, this, that and the other. Looked at a YouTube video, taught me how to take it apart. Took it apart and right in deep, it was clogged up. I've cleaned it and it's got the suction of a hooker on holiday. It's absolutely brilliant. And I just feel, you know, that feeling when you've done a good job, DIY, you know. Imagine what it must be like for Fred and McTominay when they have a good game. That's how I feel now. It doesn't happen very often. But anyway, jokes apart, let's talk about Donny van de Beek, who should be getting game time. I mean, I will say this straight away from the very start. You cannot sit there and say that Donny van de Beek doesn't deserve a game. Like, you get these mad theories in football. It doesn't matter whether you don't have to be an Arsenal fan to be an idiot, right? You know, you get it in the United fan base, the Liverpool fan base. So the thing we hear about Donny van de Beek is, well, it's the second manager who's not picked him now. He must be crap in training. And yet, both managers have said how good he is in training. Many players have said how good he is in training. But people choose to believe their own theory that, no, they're lying. He must be crap in training. Well, he's not crap in training. I know people. As you know, I know people, and I know that Donny van de Beek is not crap in training. What I do know for a fact is that Matic, McTominay and Fred have predominantly been crap in real matches this season. So what I would say about Donny van de Beek is, whether he leaves or whether he stays, it's absolutely disgusting how he's not been given opportunities. I don't mind, you know, if Donny van de Beek was at Chelsea and Kovacic and Kante and Jorginho are his competition, I'd say, Unlucky, mate. Unlucky. He'd probably still get more minutes there. But unlucky, you've got 3 very good midfielders ahead of you. At Manchester United, he's got 3 bags of cement ahead of him, and he still can't get minutes. It's a joke. It's inevitable that big changes are required, both in terms of style of play and formation, but more importantly, how would United fans feel if Rangnick fails and is allowed to make big decisions at the club, says Daniel. Interesting point there. Hi, Mark. Don't think these players are playing for the manager, as they know he's going to be gone in 6 months. They lose the ball and can't be bothered chasing it, says the Honest Tiger. They couldn't be asked to chase it under Ollie, though, mate. And they loved Ollie. So let me just talk about Donny first of all. The Telegraph are saying that Newcastle would like to buy him. ESPN are saying that Manchester United would let him go if somebody pays his full loan fee or a full transfer fee. And then obviously Romano was saying that Rangnick seems to, still strongly want to keep him. I think worst case scenario, Rangnick wants to keep him because it's an option if he gets an injury to the people he wants to pick. Like if Fred or McTominay get injured, Donny's an option. If I'm Donny van der Beek, I'm saying I'm not being an option. I'm not a backup plan. I want to be the star. I'm not here for rehearsals. I'm here to be the main man. That's what I would be saying to Donny. If I was Donny now, I'd be banging on his door and I'd be saying, get me out of here or play me. I respect the fact you've only been here a month, but I've been here nearly 2 years. It's two years I'm not playing first team football. I want to move, or pick me or sell me. Pick me, or I'm going to make things difficult. Now I don't like the idea of people making things difficult, but I actually do think Donny van der Beek has to do that. Donny, get one of them Manscaped packages, 20% off. But really, I think he has to do that. I think he has to show some balls and actually, because his career is stagnating. Do I think he'll go to Newcastle? I don't think there's a danger of us selling him to Newcastle. I think Newcastle have got this problem whereby they're shit, but they've got a lot of money. And there's a very big chance they could go down. So if Donny van der Beek went to Newcastle, he may well play, but he's going to be playing with absolute shit and he might be in the Championship next year. So it doesn't make sense. I think this is the problem Newcastle are going to have. What sort of player are they going to get? Dead-end players who really are going to go for the money. And I don't think Donny would go to Newcastle. Funnily enough, Newcastle are probably one of the only clubs that could actually afford to buy him. So I don't see Donny going to Newcastle, although I think they would like him and he'd be a good signing for them. And I don't really think there's any club in Europe that can afford to buy him now. I think Bayern Munich like him. I was told last week that Bayern Munich like him, but not till the summer. So I think Donny's options are really a loan deal, but there's definitely a transfer danger in January. What do you want to happen with him? I suppose that's the thing I was going to say, because I was going to give my opinion. I hope you're well. Sending support from Doncaster Rovers. Ethan Galbraith on loan from United to Doncaster is a great prospect. Exciting future, says Forever Football DRFC. Thank you very much. Always nice to get those insights. Of course, Ted and Mengi's gone on loan to Birmingham City today, so hopefully he can be another lad. I do think our loans have been good this year, by the way. I know Chong got injured, but he was doing well at Birmingham. Garner's doing fantastically well at Forest. Ethan Ledd's done really well at Swansea. He's now going to Bournemouth. Mengi's going to Birmingham. So, loan deals, we've done quite well. But I think that where Donny can go on loan, it's a hard one with Donny. What would I like to see happen? I'd like to see him playing in the midfield where Scott McTominay plays. That's where I think his best position is. I think if we brought in, and look, I'm not saying get this player, but if we brought Zakaria in and had him as a holding midfielder, I would love to see Donny van der Beek playing next to him, because I actually think Matic and Donny worked quite well. I just don't trust Matic to do that job on his own anymore. So that's where I would like to see Donny van der Beek play, and I think that's where he wants to play. So, option number one is that he actually gets given game time. I always think it's criminal when players are brought to the club and not given a chance. Mkhitaryan was given a chance. Kagawa was given a chance. Sanchez was given a chance. Di Maria was given a chance. The sad thing about Ollie is Donny is he's never been given a chance. So I'd love to see him given a chance. But realistically, if I was his advisor, I'd say get out. I'd say get out. You've been here for 2 years. That's got to mess with your head anyway. The environment, you need an environment change. You need to feel loved. You need to play football. I wouldn't trust this club, again, saying stay here for another 5 months and we'll play you. Donny, you're getting a sense of deja vu. Groundhog Day. This happened in August and you've hardly played in 5 months. Are you going to waste another 5 months? So I personally think he should try and get out of the club, but I still really hope we'll use him. Of course, I suppose he can afford to wait 2 weeks. If I was Donny, I'd wait 2 weeks and see what happens in these Villa games, because he should be starting in the FA Cup, because that's the sort of game he should be starting in. And then if he does well in that, McTominay can't play in the league game. So he should be getting 2 starts in a row. If he doesn't, that's it. I'm out. Kamara, 10 million. Kessie, 6 months on his deals. 10 million gets him now. Kamara, 6 million. 3 top midfielders for less than Donny. Cost, yet our owners want to keep every penny, says the real G. I still think we'll buy a midfielder. McSaw suspended next match. Does Donny get his chance, or will we see Fred and Matic? We'll probably see Fred and Matic, David. And Ronaldo has fragmented the dressing room, ruined Greenwood, developments destroyed, our future planning, and cost the great man his job. Oh, Rash Pratt. I mean, come on. I love it. If you believe in flat Earth, I'm going to offend you now, but the Ronaldo conspiracy is right up there with that. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I was on about this on Twitter earlier. I can't be bothered to talk about the Ronaldo thing anymore. Like, Ronaldo is the reason we're crap. Why were we crap last year then? Because Ronaldo wasn't here. Well, we finished second. We were shite. We were shit. We finished second because Chelsea and Liverpool didn't have 2 more games to go past us. Liverpool had an injury crisis like no club's ever bloody had in their history, and Chelsea sacked that only played for half of the season, and they still nearly caught us up. We were shit last season, and we didn't create any chances for our striker. Ronaldo has made no difference to this team at all, because we're still the same crap team with the same crap midfield that can't create anything. So I just think I'm going to call you a football peasant, because I think you are. If you think Ronaldo's the problem, you're either on the wind-up or a peasant of football, because he's a striker. And he is a striker who, as he's got older, is like Lewandowski. He's reliant on service. If you put Lewandowski up front for Leyton Orient, he'll do sod all. He needs service. And that's what Ronaldo needs. Ronaldo cannot run the midfield. Ronaldo cannot pass out from the back to the midfield and feed the attack. Ronaldo cannot get the team up to the final third of the pitch. He is the finisher. He is not the builder-upper. And to blame Ronaldo is just idiots, Phil, to be honest. Newcastle just agreed with fee with Atletico for Trippier. Get in! In another universe, Solskjaer's still in charge and we've just sold Dalot to bring in Trippier. At least that's one bit of positive. Just my opinion, but Kessie's bang average, says John. I don't watch enough of Italian football at the moment to talk about Kessie. I used to like him at Atalanta. I thought he played very well against us in the home leg at Old Trafford last year. Look, the one thing I would say about Kessie, you can say he's bang average, but he's better than Fred, McTominay and Matic, so there we go. I like Dalot, Toby. I think Dalot is... I like Dalot. I think that, like Telles, defensively, he concerns me. Going forward, his crossing ability is probably one of the best crossers in the team. We have got one of the best players in the air in Cristiano Ronaldo. I said this when we bought him. I said it 2 months ago. I said it 3 months ago. Many of you have been saying it for months. I mean, I know Rio said it yesterday, but fucking hell. I mean, come on, Rio. This has been said by every single United fan for 6 months. We said it when we bought him. We've just bought one of the best aerial players in the world, and we're not putting crosses into the box. Look, Luke Shaw has got a good cross on him. Wan-Bissaka hasn't. I like Wan-Bissaka, but we've got to get a balance of crosses into the box. Marcus Rashford is more likely to cross his legs than he is to cross the ball. Mason Greenwood doesn't cross. Sancho doesn't seem to cross that much. And therefore, Wan-Bissaka can't cross. We've got only Luke Shaw can cross. So we need Dalot. Like, Dalot needs to play. And you can work on the defensive side of things. Ronaldo's not the problem. He don't even get the ball, says Sky. And Van der Beek is really good ball progressor and could probably even do the deep playmaker role. Donny next to a new CDM would first choice with what we have, says Benjamin. Look, I'd love Donny to say, but we'll have to see. The problem is culture of the club. But what I would say on Donny before we move on, there's definitely a danger that he goes this month. There is definitely a danger that he goes this month. There was a danger he was going to go in the summer. And if you leap back to the summer, we wanted a midfielder in the summer. When we used to talk to Fabrizio or when we were talking to other people, what were they all saying? I think even Simon Stone said it. United buying a midfielder is dependent on what happens with Pogba and Donny. And basically, if Pogba and Donny stay, we won't buy a midfielder. I still think that's what United are looking at. I think they will bring a midfielder in, but they want one to go. Well, Matic is the one to go. He should have gone in the summer. The problem is the culture of the club. It's poisonous and felt on players. Rangnick been brought in to groom Fletcher to take over, says Daniel. I'll tell you right now, if Darren Fletcher's being groomed to take over Manchester United, we ain't winning a title for another decade. We groom Fletcher, he takes the job on, he's fucking useless, and then he gets the sack, and then we might actually move on. 2 seasons later, and we're still struggling in the middle. Us as fans see the issues. How can United be missing it? Because they're not run by football people, Apollo. Shrinverson says, people talk about no Champions League if Ronaldo leaves. I'm sure Varane may leave, and Bruno may not renew his contract. Man United may be forced to spend more in the summer. The thing about the Champions League, the only reason we're not in the Europa League now is because of Ronaldo. Let's be honest. There are so many ways to sit Ronaldo haters down, but the only reason we're playing Atletico Madrid in the Champions League and not playing Thursday night football is because of Ronaldo. The Atalanta goals, the Villarreal header, there wasn't the header against Villarreal, was it? It was the finish with the foot, but the header was against Atalanta at Old Trafford. The unbelievable finish in Italy. Without Ronaldo, we're not even in the bloody Champions League. Could you have a word with Paul Ince, please? I think he's been hit on the head by the golf ball. Oh, I've warned him. Thursday morning, Goldbridge against Ince. I'm having a word with him. He thinks Scott McTominay should be Man United captain. Well, we'll be having words about that. Governor or not, I'm safe. We'll be doing it over the internet. 2 seasons later, and we're struggling. We've done that one. I've done that one. And how can a team play 2 6s and 2 wide 10s when we're toothless at passing and moving the ball forward? Surely Donny and Pogba give us what we need, says Akshay. And hi Mark, genuine question. How well do you think would Aaron Wan-Bissaka do if they turn him into a centre-back, says Man. Well, I'll remind me of that, man. I will talk about Wan-Bissaka as a centre-back because I want to talk about Wan-Bissaka anyway. And DC says, despite everything, the British media and pundits seem to have been waiting for this. Everybody jumping on Rangnick trying to paint a target on him, says DC. I like that. I do like that. I did say this to you a couple of weeks ago. I've picked up on it from ex-players. I don't think they liked the Rangnick appointment in the first place, and I think they'll jump on him straight. Well, they already are. But what I would say is he deserved to get jumped on last night. He got a lot of things wrong, and as Akshay said, what I found baffling about last night, and let's just talk about this for a moment. What must be done at Manchester United to turn this around? It's the start of January. We've still got 4 months of the season left. We can't just give up. We've got to find something, even if it's just something for next year. We've got to do something. So what do we need to do? And I'm going to give you a few ideas, and you can give me some as well. But based on last night, what I found massively confusing is that I'm not a coach. I've done a bit of coaching. I've played football. I've watched loads of football. So we've all got ideas. But I said when that team news came out last night on the watch along, I'm worried. Now, a lot of you were just getting excited about Phil Jones starting, which is fine. But I said I'm worried. Regardless of Phil Jones, I'm worried about that team. Not because of Phil Jones, because of how it's set up. I didn't like the fact that we're playing a 4-4-2 against a team that plays a lot of people in the middle and packs the midfield. And I knew, that wasn't a new thing from Wolves. That was a normal thing. But what also worried me is that you've got 2 wide players and 2 forwards. There's no number 10. There's no attacking midfielder. It's 2 wide players, 2 forwards. And then you need your creativity from your 2 6s. Well, you've got Matic and McTominay. They're not creative. So I that's why I was worried when the team news came out. I was like, if he'd played Donny and Matic, I'm like, well, at least Donny's got some creativity from deep. It went exactly as I thought it was going to go. And that's terrifying when you're just a fan. When you're just a football fan and you can see the problem before a ball's been kicked. Why are we paying these coaches? Like, it is scary. But what I would say is, and I'm not talking about Manchester United here, I know people who are very close to certain Midlands clubs, and the stories you get told, like, they're all stood there doing their interviews and stuff, but behind the scenes, it's bloody almost picking a team out of the hat. It's not that bad, but it's comical how bad it can be. And that's why I always say football's a very simple game. How can it... so that was that from Akshay. Mark, at what point do you think we're going to see Ralph's style of football management implemented, like the 30 minutes against Palace, is Andy and Bruno? The minute he's allowed to bring a midfielder in, I think it will change. Goldbridge versus Ince boxing match. Oh, he batter me, my big melons. Batter me. It's got massive hands. It's like shovels. Hopefully, Rangnick has allowed the favourites to show how crap they are, and now he can drop them all and get back to buying a DM and playing Donny van der Beek next to him, says Tony. And thank you very much for the Super Chat, RF. So, look, I have got some topical stuff to talk about. I want to talk about... but first of all, I just want to talk about the Rangnick and what I would do. Now look, 24 hours later, I probably calmed down a little bit, but I'm not going to change my mind. I'm not happy with Rangnick last night. I think he got loads wrong. Substitutions, starting 11, tactics, some of the crap he came out with after the game. 3 out of 10, he was poor. He was really poor. But no part of me is Rangnick out. Look, nobody said it was going to be easy. I totally agree that, you know, we were probably inevitably going to have some bad results. I think some of us were just thinking, well, look what Ollie did. Surely that's going to happen. But to be honest with you, Ollie inherited a much better squad and with a much better, a much happier squad than what Rangnick has. Let's not forget, a lot of these losers in our team didn't want Ollie to get sacked. So they're still sulking about that. And that's true as well. I have been told that on numerous occasions, that there's a lot of players that are still depressed that Ollie's been sacked, even though they were shit under him. They are still depressed about it. So there is a mentality issue. But I think that, you know, he has to be given till May, and I would hope that over the next few weeks we start to see some improvement. But he needs a midfielder to do that. What, Mark, do you think we can win Champions League like Chelsea? The Ace, I wouldn't say... I'd love to give you some positivity. Keep on dreaming. This time next year we'll be millionaires, but I can't see it. I can't see us winning the Champions League. You're up against teams like Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, who are way better than us and know how to play, and Bayern Munich as well. The way I view our games now is we are playing and who starts in midfield for them, as we are dominated. I'm not happy with Ralph whatsoever, says the real G. And do you think Fletcher is picking the team? It seems to be the same as before, not a Ralph team, says Robert. I can't give you the answer on this, Robert. I can tell you what I mean, I want to know what you would do. What would you do at United now in the short term and the long term? Because on the Fletcher thing, I don't know. I genuinely, I don't know. I don't know why he's in the technical area. I don't know why he's even at the bloody club. For me, he should be he should be coaching the under-23s. His CV is nothing. I don't care how impressive he is in the way that he talks. His CV is nothing. He should not be there next to Ralph Rangnick. They're not mates. They've not worked together. It's been inflicted on Rangnick. Rangnick's been told, you're getting Fletcher with you. And that's what's happened. And, you know, I mean, is it any wonder we're failing, right? You imagine you go to work tomorrow and you're used to working with your team. And you go to work tomorrow and you get put with somebody that the boss decides to put you with. One, you've got to get on personality-wise. Two, you've got to get on, you know, method-wise. And three, you've then got to be successful. It's like United don't think things through. Let's put two strangers together and hope it works because one's got United DNA pissing out of his, you know what. I mean, it just baffles me, the incompetence of United, that they think, let's put Fletcher and Rangnick together. Let's put an ex-United player with no experience, with a German coach who's never managed in the Premier League before, who plays gegenpressing, high-intensity football and influence people like Klopp, Tuchel and Nagelsmann. Let's put him with Darren Fletcher. It's quite obviously going to be a dream team. It's just stupid, and I don't really know what it's all about. But what I would say is that if I could have my way, and I'm not going to write a big list here, if I could have my way, what I would do, and I don't like what I'm about to say, because although the decisions are totally and utterly based on my opinion, and I'm not being sensationalist, I genuinely think these things, it's never nice to sort of throw players on the scrap heap and that, but I do think that there's enough evidence now. Some of these players have been playing in the first team for 2, 3, 4 years, and I think it's time for a change. And what better time to change it than with a manager? Is a swap deal for Dembele with Martial real? I would hope not, Ezzy. I really would. So the first thing I would do, formation-wise, basically, Jurgen Klopp is a disciple of the Rangnick style of football. Rangnick needs to look at Jurgen Klopp. He's one of the best managers in the world, and he manages in the Premier League. How many midfielders does Jurgen Klopp play with? 3. He's got to play with 3 midfielders. Not 2, he's got to play with 3. Jurgen Klopp basically plays a 4-3-3 with a number 9 that's almost a false 9 but isn't a false 9 in Jota or Firmino. I'm not saying we need to do that. I'm more than happy with us playing with a proper 9, and that can be Ronaldo, but we need to play a 4-3-3. You've got to put Bruno in the midfield with the other 2, have 2 wider players and 1 forward. And if you're going to play with 2 up front, you've got to play a 4-2-2 with 2 narrow players ahead of the 2 midfielders and get your fullbacks forward. None of this 4-2-4 bullshit anymore. So he's got to get 3 in the midfield for me. Bruno needs to start every game. I know Ricky won't like that. I know some of you won't like that. But Bruno Fernandes, Manchester United, last 2 years, look at the stats. You know, he's had a bad season this year, and yet he's nearly top of the assist charts. Like, I don't even know how he's managed to do that, because we've been crap. Bruno's got to play, and he's got to buy a midfielder. I've said that. We need a midfielder. And I would go with a midfield that is the new midfielder, Donny and Bruno, or the new midfielder, Pogba and Bruno. And that, I would rotate those. Scott McTominay needs to come out of the team, full stop, for at least a month. No, you know, he's been the most consistent selected midfielder this season, and we have consistently lost the midfield battle. It's not a coincidence. McTominay needs taken out of the team. I think he needs to do a Phil Jones, probably reassess his career and what he wants to do with his career, and come back rejuvenated. Because I do think he's got a future at United. I think we need to get him more the edge of the box. I think he could be a really good bench player. But this McTominay first teamer thing, I'd love still to get proved wrong, but unfortunately, it's not happening. Fred, again, bench player or sell him. You know, he's got a terrible first touch. One good game every 10. We can't have players like that in the midfield. So, as I said, bring a midfielder in. Use that midfielder with Donny, Pogba and Bruno for the rest of the season in the midfield 3. Matic can do a little bit, McTominay can do a little bit, Fred can do a little bit. With Fletcher on the touchline, our club is now just jobs for the boys. We're United, we should be having the best coaches in the game. Not Phelan, I don't know why Phelan's there, RF, I'd forgotten about him. This is not a reset, this was Woodward's final trick, letting the fans thinking we're getting our reset. We need to play 4-3-2-1, new DM, Donny van der Beek and Bruno in centre. I agree with you, Tony, I've just said that. Ralph needs to use his video analyst now. That match yesterday was clear that Matic is finished and McTominay's a championship player at best, says Big. So, yes, that's what I would do. I would bench McTominay for a month. I would bench Fred for a month. I would buy a midfielder, and I would play Donny, Pogba and Bruno as the midfield 3. I'd bench Cavani and play Ronaldo up front. You can rotate those. The wide players are a problem for me. I don't know what we can do on the left, but I would be looking at Greenwood and Sancho. I don't really like Greenwood out wide. Sancho's got to play, but you know, I'd even be thinking about using Ahmad. I don't know. Point 2, Rashford, bench player. You know, I'm sure Marcus Rashford is really pissed off at the moment about his lack of minutes. You know, he's got such a high profile. Nothing to do with his off-field antics. And by antics, I mean amazing antics. What he's done off the field is unbelievable. But we almost need to park what he does off the field. He deserves all the awards, but if that's what he is, become an MP. Like, he's an amazing human being, what he's done off the pitch. But on the pitch, he's a footballer. And I'm sure he's very frustrated about the lack of minutes. But if I was anyone close to Rashford, I would say, Marcus, you're not playing because you're not playing very well. Like, you can't demand a place in a United team. That's egotistical. Like, you're not playing well. You can be frustrated, but you need to look in the mirror. So again, for me, Rashford needs to be almost forgotten. Not forgotten in the sense that if you talk to me about Fred, McTominay, Maguire, I'm not convinced any of them will ever be United players. I think in the case of Rashford, he is a United player, but he needs some work, and just chucking him in at the moment just ain't working. He's overthinking things. He's not playing the easy pass. He seems to want to produce. I feel with Rashford at the moment, it's almost like he wants to produce a moment of magic to say, I told you so. And in trying to produce, the trouble with trying to produce a moment of magic is it might take you 30 times to do it. And then when you say, I told you so, we've got to wait 3 months for you to do it again. I'd rather yesterday when Luke Shaw makes the overlap, you give it to Luke Shaw, he cuts it back and you get a tap in. I'd celebrate that more than trying to score a worldie from 30 yards or skip past 4 or 5 players. So I think Rashford needs taken out of the team for a longer period of time. And Harry Maguire, I wouldn't pick him for a very long time. I think he's had his chance at Manchester United. I think he's been here 2.5 years. Forget the captaincy, because the captaincy is irrelevant. If he's not playing, he can't be the captain anyway. So I'm not bothered about the captaincy. I just wouldn't play him for a while. Varane's our best centre-back. Phil Jones has played better. I mean, look, who would have thought they were saying this 2 days ago? Phil Jones has played better for 90 minutes in a Manchester United first team than Harry Maguire's played all season. Now, Phil Jones ain't a super centre-back, but what he did yesterday, he was concentrated, focused. He made a couple of mistakes, but he also made a couple of brilliant blocks. Positionally, he was good. He didn't make, I thought he had a good game. And I was more, the scary thing is, I was more confident in Phil Jones than I was in Harry Maguire. So, But Phil Jones is our 5th choice centre-back. Lindelof and Bailly are streets ahead of Phil Jones. Now is the time that Bailly and Lindelof get their chance ahead of Maguire, and Maguire needs taken out as well. So for me... Oh, and one other thing. Is Woodward still at the club? I thought he was to be gone at the end of 2020. Oh, he's still there, Joel. He's an advisor now. Rashford is the perfect candidate for our sports psychologist. He needs to have a word with him. We need a workhorse, competent midfielder and upgrade on fullbacks, says Sid T. And then the final thing I would do, and I don't take any pleasure in saying this because I really do like him as a player, but I think he's played too much football over the last 2 years. He's not been developed over the last 2 years. And again, I think he's another player who needs a month out. Wan-Bissaka. Now is the time to go with the low for a month. A clear month of you're the right back, see what he can do, and a clear month of Wan-Bissaka just having a bit of a timeout, you know, on the bench, speak to him about his game, show him the videos, get him to just refocus, and then come back and let's see what happens. So that's what I would do. I would go back to a 4-2-3-1. I think we've got to have that number 10 in the team, that creative player to link the attack and the mid and the wide players from the midfield. So yeah, that's what I would do that. And then personnel wise, McTominay and Fred out of the team for a run of weeks. Keep them on the bench, but no more starting them for a month. Same with Harry Maguire, out of the team. You've had your chance, give other people a chance, whether it's Phil Jones and Lindelof and then Eric Bailly when he comes back in 3 weeks. Rashford on the bench as well. Again, give other people opportunities, whether it's Ahmad, whether it's Alanga, whether it's Lingard, you know, just give and keep those players out of the team for a month. Bring them on for 20 minutes, half an hour, but for the next month, just keep them away from the team as a starter. They've had their chances over the last couple of years. Give other people a chance, and in a month's time, those players will be really focused and hungry, and then if they come back and they grab it, great, but I think other people deserve a chance now. McTominay and Fred have been picked consistently for over a year. Now's the time to start picking people like a Donny, like you know, Pogba deserves a chance in the middle as well for the last few months. Buy a midfielder and give them a chance. I think now is the time. And people can say, well, that's not going to happen, and it probably won't happen. But let's not forget where we are in the league. Let's not forget how poor we are. We can't just keep sending the same players out and going, we'll get there in the end. Rangnick's system's going to work in the end. It needs a personnel change. It needs an overhaul. If David De Gea was playing badly at the moment, like Maguire has all season, I'd say now is the time to take De Gea out of the team for a month and give Henderson a run. So it's not about agendas. It's not about certain players. It's about the fact that this has been going on all season. Arguably, it's been going on for longer than that, but all season, there's certain players that have been consistently bad. It's now time to give other players consistent runs in the team. I don't think it'll happen, but I think it does need to happen. Renate says De Gea is great. Don't worry, Renate. I'm not saying drop David De Gea. I'm just using it as an example that now is the time to start making changes in that team and sticking by it. I'm a firm believer that if you start Dalot at right back, you give him 4 or 5 games at right back, because to come in from the cold, it takes a little while to warm up. So, you know, why is it? I mean, this used to happen under Ollie a lot. Why is it a player gets, you know, played all the time, whether they're good or bad, but then you give the rotational player 1 game, and if they play badly, they're out the team. Yet the other player, you'll play them week in, week out, no matter what. So I think it's time to make some changes now. Thoughts on Cavani, says Ashley. I like Cavani. I'm concerned about Cavani because I don't think he really wants to be here. And like Ronaldo, if you're not going to get him any service, he's a waste of time. I personally think you'll get the best out of Ronaldo by playing one up front, getting crosses into the box, and if Ronaldo has a bad 70 minutes, you bring Cavani on. And you'll get him on his toes. We need to keep people on their toes. Yesterday, it was like Cavani and Ronaldo are going to play all the time, and I daren't sub them off, and that doesn't keep people on the toes. Rotham says Mark won't say anything about Shaw, but I like Shaw. I actually think Shaw played well yesterday. Despite what people think, I thought he played well. I thought his energy to get forward and constantly get ignored by the left winger was unfair. I thought he got overlapped a lot because the left back didn't help him out. Well, who do you think will leave in the summer, says Michael. If we don't get headline news, if we don't get top 4, Ronaldo will leave in the summer. That's a theory I have. A couple of topics anyway, just on from that. Mata's going to stay till the summer. This has come out tonight. He's highly likely to stay until the summer. I mean, on that, I don't understand what's going on with some of our players. Do you? Like, why is Lingard staying till the summer? Why is Donny staying till the summer? Why is Mata staying till the summer? Like, you don't get picked. You're not getting picked. Why are you staying till the summer? Is it that? Is that what it's all about? I don't get why Mata would stay. Mata's the worst of the lot. Not as a footballer. I think his career's better than anybody's, but he's used to the team. He's, you know, we're now going to play. Apparently, we're going to try and play high pressing, Gegan pressing football. That ain't Mata. So I don't really know what Mata's role is. I mean, he played as a midfielder, didn't he? The other week in the Champions League. Maybe he's going to play. Maybe he'll get picked ahead of Donny as a midfielder now. God help us. But yeah, I don't know why Mata's staying till the summer. McTominay and Fred have hit the ceiling. They're never going to get better. They should be sold. They should have never been Man United players in the first place as NL. I was in a group chat today and somebody said, well, it might have been me, said that if McTominay hadn't come from the youth setup and we'd bought him from Swansea 2 years ago for 15 million, he'd already be back playing for Preston. And I don't disagree with that. I think the fact that he's a youth player has made a career for him. You know, the fact that Sir Alex has known him since he was a kid, that Mourinho liked him, Carrick likes him, Ollie liked him, Rangnick likes him. There's something there, but sometimes, you know what? I've come across players like this, I'm sure you have, when you've played football. I know players that when you're playing five-a-side with them, they are absolutely unbelievable. You put them in a competitive match and they disappear. Just because you're good in training doesn't mean you're going to be good on the pitch. There are countless stories of professional footballers who will tell you, this lad was unbelievable in training. World is coming out of his arse. But you put him in the team on Saturday and he bottled it. So maybe that is something about McTominay. Maybe he's scoring, maybe he's hitting those shots like he did against Burnley 10 times a day in training. Maybe that's what he's doing. 99% of fans will disagree, but I'd have Ronaldo, Martial, Sancho with Bruno, Pogba, Donny, Matic rotated with Shaw, Deloveran and Bailly, says Raven. Mate, I always like opinions that are your opinions, and one thing I will agree with Ricky on is that I'd take Martial any day of the week over Rashford at the moment. I would. I think Martial offers something very different to most of our forwards. I would have given Martial a go if I was Rangnick, but I also agree with people who are going to go crazy saying no, because the problem with Martial is for the last year he's been pants. He has been pants, but Mason Greenwood's the one. You've got to get the best out of Mason Greenwood, haven't you? He's the one for me. He really is. But look, I do worry. I do worry about some of these players that they've mentioned. I mentioned about Harry a couple of weeks ago. I don't see how he's going to become a United centre-back. Because unless he can find 2 yards, he's too flat-footed. It doesn't suit the way we want to play. You put Harry Maguire in an Everton team, I think he'd be really good. They play quite a deep line. His midfielders are close to him. Harry Maguire plays well in a back six. And that's why last season, between Christmas and the end of the season, he was great. Harry Maguire's good when you're defending on the edge of your box with midfielders and fullbacks tucked in. Because he's never going to get exposed by people running at him or a ball over the top. But we don't want to play like that. We want to play like Liverpool. We want to play like Man City. We want to play a high line. And if the ball gets knocked over the top, you defend on your own, like we used to do with Rio and Vidic. Maguire can't do that. So I don't see Maguire, unless we're going to play crappy, pragmatic, side-to-side football, I don't see Maguire really ever suiting us. I think he'll have good games, but he'll make mistakes. McTominay and Fred, I just don't think they're top half of the table Premier League standard. I just don't. The consistency is what makes people top players, and they don't have it, regardless of ability. Wan-Bissaka, as I said, I like him. I just think he needs some coaching. I mean, his crossing is abysmal. And Rashford, I think, is a really good talent, but something's gone wrong there. It's like his decision making has gone worse than it ever has been. I don't know what he's trying to do most of the time, and therefore I don't think he knows what he's trying to do. Some of these players need some real hard work, and it's very difficult to do it at a time that we are in. You know, this is a closed season, end of season sort of problem to solve. It's not a January problem to solve, and that's why I'd take them out of the team. Do you think Ralph will stay as manager? Says Michael. Right here, right now, Michael. Rangnick feels to me like he's an interim coach. Yeah, so I don't think he'll be the manager. Mark Goldbridge, I hate to break it to you. I told you so. 2018, I told you fans about Man United football heritage. You all abuse me, says Mourinho. And Mark, is it time to just admit the club is in a vicious cycle of mediocrity until the ownership changes? I don't see anyone who could fix this club, says Luke. Well, you know what, Luke? I've been very consistent about this. I don't think anything will really change. And I don't think most Man United fans in their heart thinks anything's going to change when you've got owners like we've got. Any success we ever have will be despite the owners, not because of it. And the evidence is out there. I'm not going to bore you, but the way this club has been run over the last 16 years is like running a club with two arms tied behind your back. So if we change the owners of this football club and we had owners like Chelsea or Man City, I think we would know that success would come back because they're focused on success. We've got owners who are focused on the bottom dollar line. They're not focused on trophies. So it's always going to be a problem. Rory says, I know we've spoken about Fletcher, but seriously, questions need to be put to the club as to what role he has so the fans have some form of understanding, says Rory Saunders. You won't get that sort of response from the club. We have the weirdest board in the world. When Martial was good as our number 9, they brought in Zlatan, but when we don't have even have a CDM, nothing, says Dowell. And will Rangnick's success depend on if he rotates the squad effectively to find the right players who suits his philosophy, says Salah Ahmed. Well, look, watch the Fabrizio Romano interview I did at 4 o'clock today. But one of the things we spoke about and agreed on was that we were both surprised by Rangnick's team selections in the first month. He's not rotated enough, and he's focused on the same players that Ollie was using. Surely they'll... If you're a new manager of a football club, right, and you come in and you've just taken over a team that's won before you came, so you stick with the same players, which is what he did after Carrick beat Arsenal, and you beat Palace, so then you go to Norwich and you pick the same players again, but you're shit. And then you shit against Newcastle, but you pick the same players again. And then you shit against Wolves, and we're okay against Burnley, but he hasn't rotated enough. We've not played well enough for him to keep sticking with the same sort of players. I'm surprised he hasn't rotated it more, because when you're new somewhere, what you want to do as quick as possible is find out who suits your system, who can react to your system. There are players on that bench who haven't seen, Rangnick can come out and say the players are struggling to adjust to my style of football, but some of them haven't even been given a chance to play in that style of football. You can't say that Donny van der Beek is struggling to adapt to Rangnick's style of football when he's not even been given a chance to play it. You know what I mean? There are certain players who just haven't been given a chance, and I'm surprised he hasn't given a chance to them. Which leads on to something topical. Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic has said tonight that Manchester United are not back in training until Thursday. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We lose to Wolves on Monday night. They're not back in training tomorrow. They're back in on Thursday. So they've had a day off today, and they've got a day off tomorrow. They had a week off when we had to shut down for COVID. They had a week off in the international break when Ollie went hiding in Norway for a week. Are we not going to go to work? And look, I don't know who's made the decision, but if I was a player, if I was Ronaldo, I'd be like, I'm going into training tomorrow, whether you say I can or not. I'll just go and shoot some hoops, shoot some goals, No, you're not. Or I'll do it at home then. I don't want any more rest. Like, the worst thing you want when you've played like United did last night is 2 days off. Why are they getting 2 days off? And the funny thing is, they'll get Sunday off as well because they play Monday. So, they're getting 3 days off. I thought the problem with United is that it's the middle of the season and it's really hard to learn Rangnick's system because we don't have much time. And then we're giving more days off. I don't know what it is. I don't know what we're trying to achieve. On one hand, they're moaning that there's not enough time to get the new manager's ideas across, and on the other hand, they're having 2 days off. Even if it's about R&R, rest and recuperation, get them in tomorrow, get them in the theatre, and play them some bloody videos. You know, get their brain thinking about improving. You know. Mark, by bringing in Zakaria and playing Donny beside him will make our midfield 100 times better. Will we do it though, Phil? Will we do it? He has not rotated because Fletcher and Phelan have earned Ralph, Fred Maguire and others when Donny, Jesse, Ahmed, Martial have been left cold. Says Akshay. I mean, look, I can speculate on that, Akshay. I don't think... Right, here. This is a theory, so it's not from anywhere. Donny van der Beek, Eric Bailly, Victor Lindelof, Diego Dalot, Jesse Lingard, Elanga, all these players would have more chance of playing first team football for Manchester United if after Ollie had been sacked and McKenna and Carrick had left, Phelan had gone with them, Fletcher wasn't allowed anywhere near the training ground, and Rangnick was allowed to bring his own people in. What you've got as a fact is you've got a manager who's brought 2 or 3 coaches in which United have probably got, God knows how many coaches we've got for the first team. I mean, God knows. There could be 30. So the coaches that Rangnick's working with, over 50% of them are still the people that were working with Ollie. So Rangnick is being influenced by the previous coach because he's got a lot of the previous coaches working with him. And one of them's Darren Fletcher, who was a coach with Ollie for the last year, and Mike Phelan. So when Rangnick's having a chat with his coaches about the team to play against Wolves, and he says, I'd quite like to play Donny with Matic. No, I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't do that. We tried that before and it didn't work. I'm telling you now, Scotty's the player to play. So that's the fear, isn't it? Because we've got coaches that were there with the previous manager, are they having similar influences to how the previous manager played? Which is why I wanted a hard reset. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Romano mentioned today Conte, and I think more and more people are awake to the fact that Conte was the man to go for. I wanted Conte. I never did want Conte, but after the Liverpool game, I was like, get Conte. And the reason I wanted Conte, and I knew it could be short term, is I knew he would come in and go, don't leave me with any of your coaches. I don't want any of them. Don't start telling me about what players I've got to pick and who I'm going to buy. I'm in charge. It's my CV. It's my reputation. It's my way, or don't bother. And obviously United didn't bother. But I got excited when we got Rangnick because I thought he was going to get the reset, and he hasn't. He's not reset at all. He's still carrying the baggage of the previous regime. It's not a reset. And until you get a reset, those players who haven't been given a run in the team, they're still going to be hindered by previous decisions because a lot of the coaches are still there that was advising the manager not to pick him before. Do you think the Glazers will sell the club to better owners, says Michael Nolan? I'm not sure they'll sell the club, mate. I'm not sure they will sell the club at any point. The Big says, Rangnick isn't to blame in my eyes. He plays with 8 or 10 bad players who don't have enough passion for his style of play. But he does pick them. Can't play in the dark, can't play in the cold, can't do their jobs and want days off. These United players are babies, says Nizzle. But yeah, I think well, Raz is right. Conte isn't a yes man, so the board wouldn't like him. No, you've got to. When you become Man United manager, you've got to put your hooks on, put it on a string, and if you don't do that, they won't employ you. But I do think, well, I don't think, I know that we've been watching and having these discussions for nearly 10 years now. The football's been crap. We've been miles off titles. Not good enough players, wasted money, bad decision making, bad football. This has been going on for nearly 10 years, and we're at a point now where this ain't going to change with one or two. A manager, what I'm basically saying is, a manager on his own is not going to change this. This runs deep. There are players in that team who play regularly in the first team who shouldn't be here. Until Manchester United switch on to that sort of ruthless decision making, we're not going to progress. There are people who basically got their feet under the table, slippers on, and they're comfortable, and they're nowhere near good enough. So when people say, how long do you think it's going to be before United win a title? Look at the ages of those players that shouldn't be playing and figure out how much longer they're going to be playing first team football for. Because some of them are in their mid-20s. So that's 6-7 years more of them playing first team football for United. That, at least, is how far away we are from a title, unless we make big decisions. Some of these players who aren't good enough are established first team players for Manchester United. The only way they're not going to be established first team players is if we drop them and sell them. I don't think we've shown any evidence of doing that with these sort of players. So I think title, for me, probably 6-7 years at least away. Because until we start making the right reset hard decisions, we're just going to keep regurgitating the same old shit. Bring me back, I can fix the mess. I'll bring Bepe's son, I think he's a CDM, says Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And we're 10 years away, says Ben. Yeah. Unless he can work a miracle with these players that aren't good enough, I think we are a long, long, long way away. Because I think if... Look, I'm trying to think of a player that we don't use a lot, but I'm going to have to use a player that we're going to use. All right, okay. I'll use a player that I like, because then it's not an agenda, is it? So, which I don't have against anybody anyway. But imagine Ralph Rangnick, right, knocks on the door at Manchester United and says, Rashford ain't it. He just isn't it. Cash in on him now. 70 million quid. I'm not going to use him. I want to sell him, and it's imperative we sell him, because if we don't sell him, I have to keep picking him, and we're never going to get anywhere. I wouldn't sell Rashford, by the way. I'm just using it as an example. The board 100% will say you're not selling Rashford. They did it 3 years ago with Mourinho and Martial. Now, I was glad the board did that, but when you look back at it, no board that's got no idea about football should be telling a football manager you're not selling that player. Because how can that football manager do their job when they're not allowed to sell the players they want to sell to build a team they think can be successful? United won't allow a manager to do that. They won't. And that is why it's always going to be on the board, because no manager is ever going to be allowed to knock on the door and say, sell Harry Maguire, sell Scott McTominay, sell Fred, sell Rashford, sell Wan-Bissaka, sell Bruno. You know, there's probably 15 players that, you know, if a manager knocks on the door, they're not going to be allowed to sell. But out of those 15 players, there might be 8 or 9 of them that do need selling. So this is why we're always going to struggle, I think. City sold Ferrin for 50 million, Sane for 50, Danilo for Cancelo, and I'd bet United can't sell their headless chicken to 25 million to Zach Shea. But City can sell their players because they're playing in a system that's successful and they're good players. Paul says, I totally agree, we need Maguire, McFred and Rashford out. Also, is there any way we can have a pick you're starting, then compared to find the United stand top teams? Good idea, Paul. I'm sure we can look into that. I wouldn't sell Bruno Illa. I'm using it as an example. People, this is why I always try and give us, I wouldn't sell Rashford. I'm just saying, there's certain players that club would say to a manager, you're not selling them because they've done it before. That can't be right. A manager cannot knock on the door of a football club and say, I realise you like them, but I need to sell them to take this club where it needs to be. And then the board go, no, you're not. Like, that can't be the case. Imagine if Pep Guardiola knocks on the door at Man City and says, I want to sell this player. I know they've been a good servant to the club, but I want to sell them. And they go, no. Or if Jurgen Klopp did it at Liverpool. I mean, this is the best example. Imagine if Jurgen Klopp said to Liverpool, right, I want to sell Mane. He's been a great servant to the club. I think now's the time to sell him because I can see he's starting to drop off, but the world hasn't. We can get top dollar for him, and I've got a player I think will be better than him, younger, cheaper. Liverpool would go, fine, let's do it, because they trust Klopp and they know he's a football manager. Again, I'm not saying Mane's fallen off, but imagine if they said to him, no, you're not selling Mane, we really like him, you're not selling him. What do you think Klopp would do? Fine, I'll carry on. He'd go, screw you, I'm off. This is the problem. This is why they didn't want Conte, because a manager should be allowed to manage. And if a manager says they've got to go and these need to come in, the club should do it. But at United, it's like, nah, you're not selling him. You're not selling him. And that's why we'll always fail. Hi, Mark. Did Newcastle just get Trippier for 12.5 million? Why were we going to pay over 30 million for him, says Gary. 12.5 million? I still wouldn't take him, Gary, but you're right. We were being quoted 20 million in the summer. FT Coolers says, Mark, why is it when the United stand was similar, your reactions to goals were tamer than now when thousands of people were watching you? Love you. What? Why is it that when United stand was smaller, your reactions to goals were tamer than now when thousands of people were watching you? Love you. Well, that's not actually true, FT Coolers. Anybody who's watching the United stand 3 years ago will know that my reactions were actually a lot worse. Just go and check Phil Jones against Derby. How many years ago was that? So if you're trying to be a clever dick and sort of make out that I'm over-egging my reactions are actually tamer now than they were 3 years ago. So facts, there you go. And the reason they're tamer now than they were 3 years ago is because I suppose the sad story is that they're tamer now because I expect it more. I think 3 years ago I was probably more hopeful. And I think I was actually, it's a good point, even though I think they're trying to be a bit of a knob. I was thinking about this over Christmas. I think my reactions to goals are tamer than they used to be. Not when we score. When we score, I'm happy. But when we concede, I suppose it's like watching a horror film, isn't it? When you first watch Jaws, it probably shocks you or scares you. But on the 10th viewing, you know what's going to happen. And I feel that has happened with me, and maybe with many of you as well, that, losing to Wolves 1-0 at home 3 or 4 years ago might have been a shock. I wasn't actually shocked last night. My reaction last night made me laugh when I woke up this morning. I saw it, and I was like, I literally swore. I was like, but it was anger. It wasn't like, I didn't think of an analogy or anything like that, like I sometimes do. It was just pure. I knew that was coming. I think I swore and went, "Oh, F off" or something like that. So, yeah, I think it's become tamer because it's become expected, which is sad. I wouldn't say standards are low. My standards are still low, not low. My standards are very high. But the standards we can't control the results. I still think Manchester United should be challenging for the title every year, but we haven't done it for nearly 10 years. The club have lowered the standards to levels that I never thought we would see, and yeah, but I think fans are just starting to not accept it but expect it. Can't believe Donny versus United was back in 07 pre-season United team. Kushek, Simpsons, Evans, Bardsley, PK, Martin, Fletcher, Gibson, Evans, Anderson, Campbell. Says Forever Football DRFC. Anyway, God, it's nearly 10 past 9. I didn't realise it was that time. Thanks everyone I was a bit late though, so I've made up for it. Thanks everybody for watching. Really enjoyed the show tonight. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Just an early heads up, we will have the morning show tomorrow. But the 8 o'clock show tomorrow night will be at 7 o'clock because I'll be doing the Carabao Cup semi-final watch-along on That's Football at just before 8 o'clock. So if you want an early warning, the 8 o'clock show tomorrow night will be at 7 p.m. instead. Thanks everyone for watching. Really interesting chats. I think the bottom line is we're at a position now where we need to make big decisions. And if we don't make big decisions, we're going to be talking about these same things for the next 8 years. Certain players need dropping for a long time. I don't think it'll happen, but if you want a solution, that's what I think it is. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching.